What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another matchup from the Dota Raidcall League, brought to you by yours truly, this guy, B-Ballin. And of course, if you want another cast, check out AC and Draskel's cast on twitch.tv/OneMoreGameTV2, or you can look up the Dota 2 Raidcall Dota 2 Season League, Dota 2 League Season 2, sponsored by Raidcall. And you can find out where you can find the YouTube version of their cast. But if you want to stick around and watch with me, then I'll be more than happy to accommodate your desires. Your wish is my command, for the most part. Because just a little bit of slight preamble before going into picks bans, and actually we're seeing a Bounty Hunter being banned right off the bat. Pretty interesting by EG. Bounty Hunter, very, very low priority these days, sometimes really deadly, but EG has been out of the scene for a bit because they honestly haven't been playing too many matches, but now looks like they're trying to get back into schedule. Actually did quite well against Fnatic North America, I do believe, in one of the Mad Dota sponsor things. Neo Dota, what was it called? Killing Spree, or something like that. Best in North America, and they beat Fnatic North America, but other than that, I haven't actually seen them play too many officials, but we're going to see them in this Dota 2 Raidcall match, and I know they're going to play a decent number of games left in the defense 3 groups before that goes into qualifiers. But just a little bit of preamble. Your wish is my command, for the most part, unless I don't have the time. And a lot of the Dota 1 requests, unfortunately, there are just not any Dota 1 replays, and when there are one, I do have to make the choice of whether giving it to Screen Guy, who pretty much exclusively covers Dota 1, or casting it for myself, and thus denying him content for his own channel. So I think the Dota 1 replay that was just recently released, if there aren't too many to follow, I'll just leave it up to SGG, and I don't honestly want to take too many. I don't really want to go back into time and look at older Dota 1 games because I'm just not familiar with the patches, unless I do a lot of research. But No Tidehunter banning out the Barret and Magnetar, meanwhile EG gonna ban out the Bounty Hunter and Lone Druid, so who's still left in the pool? That means Darkseer, Rubik, Undying, still left in the pool. We'll see what EG decides to choose. I think if I were EG, or I think just judging by what EG wants to choose, I think they'll probably pick up Undying for B-Days, most likely, because they really, really love Undying's lane control that can just provide an absolute beast in a trial lane and also have that relevant early to mid-game teamfight presence. But EG actually taking quite a bit of time, and just some more previous things to follow up with this matchup. No Tidehunter has been without EternalEnvy for about a month now, but he has just recently made his return. I think he came back like last Friday. So now that he's back, we'll see if No Tidehunter can turn some things around. I'm sure they were struggling a bit without EE, but now he is back, so we'll see if No Tidehunter can turn it around and start getting tip-top shape. And of course, mentioning those 3 heroes, I forgot to mention NA. Still very, very annoying to deal with. EG is going to choose him with their first pickup. Meanwhile, No Tidehunter immediately going to respond with Darkseer, and probably, if I have to guess, Undying, no, they're going to choose Luna, so I guess the Luna wanted his carry right now, and he's going to get it in the form of Luna. But that does leave EG to get up some pretty strong heroes. Of course, NA Undying really not the strongest trying, so I think Undying will be forfeit in this match. Pretty unusual. Usually you see him picked or banned, but I don't think Undying would fit EG's trial unless they get a really, really powerful range carry. And we all know EG loves that melee carry by Fear. He was pretty much one of the original pioneers of Lifestealer. Before Lifestealer became a huge trend, Fear was playing that. But I do not think Fear will choose Undying in this situation. I think he'll probably try to get a mid-solo hero. But No Tidehunter right now, they do have some solid early game. They have some solid teamfight just with the Vacuum and the Eclipse on their side. And Luna's probably going to stay with their team for a decent amount of time, and Darkseer are pretty difficult to gank, so pretty solid counter picks against the NA, even if it's not completely obvious. And of course, keep in mind, if Luna does pop the Eclipse, NA will only reflect 1 instance of that Eclipse damage because it's 1 damage from each damage source, or 1 damage source from each of the enemy heroes that is reflected by a Spike Carapace. So if 1 beam comes down NA, it will stun Luna for a bit of damage, but all the other beams will keep going through because Eclipse does go through stun once it is activated. Remember the old days when Eclipse was active even when the hero was dead? But still, we never saw Luna because she had a pretty terrible passive at that point. But EG gonna respond with Windrunner, so they have their offlane hero. Interesting that they pick up Windrunner so high, considering they had a couple, well, I guess there aren't really too many offlane heroes, as all the other offlane heroes have been just immediately banned. So they're going to pick up Windrunner and Outworld Destroyer. Why would they pick up Outworld Destroyer in the first place? Who knows? But MTW actually recently picked up Outworld Destroyer as a counter to Shadow Fiend in mid lane, so maybe it's a pseudo counter pick to a No Tidehunter Shadow Fiend. But picking it up in the first phase is really, really interesting, as I'm not really too sure what he can do. I guess also, because Luna's going to be able to BKB. Darkseer, of course, won't be too tank. The orb will go through whatever magic resistance, whether it be Pipe, whether it be Hood, whether it be Mechanism. But yeah, Outworld Destroyer in the first phase. And this is only the second Outworld Destroyer pick I've seen probably this month. So it's not like he's been trending up super hard. But we'll see if EG can really make the most of it, as No Tidehunter going to respond with a Gyrocopter. I imagine this will be sort of a semi-carry Gyrocopter, probably mid-lane Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter pretty solid mid-lane, and Rocket Barrage will do a decent amount of damage to Outworld Destroyer. Outworld Destroyer does have pretty high base move speed, but Gyrocopter can keep up with him. But Gyrocopter, I think, has a little bit of a shorter range. Maybe No Tidehunter might run a dual lane mid, but I'm not really too sure why they have Luna and Gyrocopter on the same side. They have a lot of magical damage, they have a lot of damage potential, which can really, really hurt EG, and of course Rocket Barrage will cancel NA's Spiked Carapace with only that first rocket, so that is something to keep in mind as well. But EG gonna ban out the Nature's Prophet, so I guess they're really fearing the split push, and you can't really blame them. Outworld Destroyer really specializes in laning, and that's it. Because all his spells are countered by BKB, and he doesn't have a flash farm. Of course, not everybody on No Tidehunter will pick up a BKB, and even heroes like Luna and Gyro who do pick up a BKB, keep in mind the BKB duration will go down. So that is something good for Outworld Destroyer, but still, yeah. And keep in mind, he is single target, and the only real anti-push that EG has is the Windrunner Power Shot, and it does have to venture quite close to use that Impale to the best of its ability to clear creeps if it came down to that. And meanwhile, Luna and Flat Cannon can just clear out those creeps in the blink of an eye, and Darkseer with the Iron Shell can just make split pushing a real difficult time for EG to deal with. So that's why they banned the Nature's Prophet. They decided to ban the Rubik as well for that secondary support. I guess they fear if they steal Sanity's Eclipse, they would just be really deadly. Or even if they stole something like Shackle Shot. EG so far has pretty strong spells that Rubik could have potential to steal, and of course, an NA Rubik tri-lane, whoever Outworld Destroyer does end up going, is pretty deadly to face up against, especially for Darkseer to deal with, because Telekinesis just holds you in the air for 2 seconds, NA Stun does a decent amount of time of stun duration even at level 1. So that is something for Darkseer to worry about, so they're trying to protect their long lane as good as possible. Meanwhile, No Tide gonna ban out the Enigma, knowing that Milk does love to jungle Enigma, and Enigma pretty solid pushing presence, and No Tide to really get going in the mid game. I think that's when really powerful. Of course, the heroes are pretty solid in the early game, but Darkseer needs levels, Gyro needs levels, Luna needs levels, and Enigma, if he gets the early push going, could pick up a potentially very fast mecha into Dagger, into destroying your whole team, which definitely is not really a good way to play Dota. Just picking up items into destroying your whole team, really not a good thing to go up against if you are any Dota player. But that's what PL does these days, so yeah. But we're not going to see PL today, hopefully, as he has not been picked or banned, interestingly enough, as PL definitely the dominant carry these days, at least in the Western scene. But why am I talking about PL? I'm not too sure, so EG probably going to ban out the other support that No Tidehunter might want, as right now No Tidehunter are lacking in terms of supports. They have their carry in the form of Luna, they have their mid lane potentially in the form of Gyro, and they have Darkseer for their off lane position. But they are lacking in terms of support, so EG trying to ban out junglers and supports, but there are just too many strong supports still left in the pool. No Tidehunter could potentially pick up a jungler as well to apply a bit of pressure, but EG does ban out that support in the form of Shadow Demon. They might have wanted to have Shadow Demon for NA themselves, considering they're the first pickup after the ban phase, but they decided, screw it, we could probably work just as well with something like a Jakiro, so we'll just eliminate that Shadow Demon. And Shadow Demon's early game ganking presence really deadly to go up against. Meanwhile, No Tide just taking their time, banning out their last hero. They're using a bit of their reserve time, but still a lot of time left in the clock. So EG, they have their offlane, they have most likely their mid lane, so who will get a bit of support from the help lane. And No Tidehunter gonna bat the Wisp, knowing that Wisp is really, really annoying to play up against, and EG gonna pick up the Keep the Light. Keep the Light made it around quite far. I'm surprised he wasn't picked or banned. Keep the Light, one of the trendy supports, really, really annoying to go up against. My personal least favorite hero to go up against, because, God, how do you push against that guy? Too much range, too much range. But EG gonna choose it for themselves. Really will help EG in terms of sustaining the push and getting OD to team fights where he might otherwise be farming. But keep in mind that Essence Aura on OD will help refuel the mana, but Chakra Magic does a good job in that. So EG gonna have mana for days. Meanwhile, No Tide taking a decent amount of time to choose. They have to pick up their supports right now. They're going to choose Sven. And this is definitely going to be a support Sven. We're not going to see a support Jaro. We're going to see a support Sven. Actually, I talked to EternalEnvy, and he thinks that support Sven is still very, very relevant, even more relevant than it usually used to be, just because he has potential farming mechanism in the form of Great Cleave. He has a massive amount of damage in the form of God Strength, as see Lifesteal being picked up for Fear, as expected for the most part. Lifesteal making it so far was a bit unexpected, but so far nothing that goes to that Lifesteal range. So Lifesteal really, really strong pickup, but EG does really have a lot of single target physical damage nukes. But they do have Keeper of the Light and Windrunner for anti-push, so that is a good thing. But just talking about support Sven, EternalEnvy does feel like it's still very relevant, especially now since he hits so hard and he can clear stacks pretty easily. But that Warcry armor buff really, really helps to make Sven a very strong support. Of course, his mana pool is a bit lacking, but hey, I mean, it's not like you're going Trion versus Trion with support Sven. You're probably going to do a very, very defensive Trion, and we are going to see a Shalfian last pick, even though there is an Outworld Destroyer being picked up in the first phase, so I guess they have something in mind. Maybe we're going to see a roaming Sven to help shut down Jail, but because the MTW game, I think OD was picked to counter Shout even in the laning phase. Not too sure, didn't watch it, but just sort of looked at the replay and thought about it for a bit. But yeah, Shadow Demon or Shadow Fiend being picked to go against Jail in this lane. So we're gonna see Bulldog playing the offlane, and we're gonna actually see a support Jaro because S4 is gonna be in the mid lane. So we're gonna see a support Jaro and a support Sven. Wow, my mind has been blown. But the good thing about No Tidehunter's lineups is that all of their supports scale really, really well into the late game. So this is some next level, pretty much 5 semi-carry strategy going on. 4 physical damage carries, and Darkseer, who does need a lot of farm, so is essentially a semi-carry. So pretty much a 5 carry strat by NTH. So reinventing the metagame. But we'll introduce the players and the teams as Fear is going to be playing the Lifesteal, Jail is going to be playing the Outworld Destroyer, Demon is going to be playing the Windrunner, Beediz is playing the Keeper of the Light, and Melk is playing the Nyx Assassin. Meanwhile, No Tidehunter, we do have S4 playing that Shadow Fiend in the middle lane. We have Envy playing the Sven on the top lane. Aki is going to be playing the support Gyrocopter. Loda is going to be playing the Luna, and Admiral Bulldog is going to be playing the Darkseer. And again, it isn't Dota unless there's a pause. If there isn't a pause, then obviously something is completely wrong. But I'm guessing that this game is probably played on US East, considering most of the Tidehunter is from Europe, and a lot of EG players are on the West Coast. I know Fear, Demon, at least are on the West Coast, probably Jail as well. But Malk, of course, European, so US East is probably the several location for this game. But yeah, interesting lanes, as Aki Rocket Barrage does so much damage, and the Sven stun gonna be really, really annoying for whoever goes in the offlane, as Beediz is gonna rotate up there. I do not think they are going to do an aggressive challenge. If they do an aggressive challenge, they will be in a lot of trouble, I think. Because Lifesteal does have the rage to go through a lot of the magical damage, but he needs a lot of levels to get that going. So I think this rotation by EG is mostly just to help plant the wards rather than try to commit themselves to lane. But actually, Melk is going to roam up with his 2 allies, so we are going to see an aggressive challenge by EG. Not too sure how I feel about this maneuver, as we're going to see Darkseer wrap around. EG might get scouted out relatively soon. They are pretty safe at the moment. But yeah, really interesting lanes by EG, as one thing they do have going for them is that Keeper of the Light pretty much dominates a lot of lanes just on the fact that he can illuminate a ridiculous AoE and does pretty ridiculous damage, and he can constantly fuel his allies' mana. But yeah, I feel like Lifesteal just needs a lot of experience, but hey, it is definitely something to be considered, as there might be an engage in Open Wounds was leveled at level 1 to help potentially slow down an opponent. So Fear is going to pick up that haste rune, and I think EG did scout out the tri lane, as Envy, is he going to rotate to the bottom lane? Looks like they are going to do that. So I guess Keep of the Light, best trial here with Undying apparently, as my trial and predictions are completely off the mark. But Loda is going to solo the top lane. Interesting. Really interesting maneuvers by both sides. As Fear is going to block off that neutral spot with the haste rune, something that you should just do in general. I mean, if you pick up a haste rune or an illusion rune, you should just block off that spot. It's pretty easy to do that. Even an invisibility rune, you can just block that off relatively easily and relatively safely. But Demon is going to be farming on the bottom lane. Might be in for a rude awakening. Actually, there's going to be a wraparound by No Tidehunter. And keep in mind, Rain did not have any wards scouting out this movement. So, man, Jay, you're going to get completely gangbanged in the middle lane. Does he have any points in Astral Imprisonment? He does, 1 point. So that's going to be 2 seconds or 1 second where he's in another dimension. But when will No Tidehunter strike? Jail does hit level 2. And here comes the stun, Stormbolt, Rocket Barrage, and Jail gonna die. They were waiting for the creeps to respawn, or creeps to go away, but a nice raise by S4 does secure the kill. A little bit of miscommunication by NTH, but nice job by S4 cleaning up that kill. And keep in mind, level 2 pretty important, because that means Jail gonna take a little bit longer to respawn, and that is gonna allow Shadow Fiend to get back in the lanes. But even with 12 souls on the side of Shadow Fiend, keep in mind, OD, one of those heroes who can completely sap the intelligence of Shadow Fiend, definitely making him a lot less scary, but considering Shadow Fiend's gotten out to such a good start, it's really difficult to see how this lane will go. Usually OD does have a strong matchup, but with that gank being provided by No Tidehunter, it's going to make Jail's life a lot more difficult. One thing that Jail does have going for him is he has high base move speed, high armor, so he can withstand a lot of the physical harassment, and once he hits higher and higher levels, then it'll just be real annoying for Shadow Fiend, because he won't have nearly enough mana to keep the raises going. Meanwhile, there is going to be a dive on the bottom lane. Demon's juking back into the trees as the roaming party decide to roam around to the bottom lane. Stormbolt was already used, not enough mana unspent. Darkseer is going to cut around. Demon is in a lot of trouble. He might just die right here. Right now, trying to juke into the trees as Demon does, but Demon is going to end up dying on that bottom lane. Nice roaming party by Aki and EternalEnvy. They have the stun and they have the damage to pretty much kill anybody on the map. And meanwhile, Loda is just playing super safe, not venturing out too far. And really, not too many set mechanisms. Well, they do have Open Wounds and Impale. But so far, No Tidehunter really throwing EG for a loop with this dual roam. Pretty interesting maneuver, as this is something you definitely were not expecting these guys to do. As EternalEnvy is going to pick up the bottle? No, he's just going to use the bottle to bottle a rune. That's cute. That is super cute.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
As he bottles the rune, gonna use it to gank. And S4 is gonna be without a bottle. I guess S4 is just gonna fund EternalEnvy's roam. Really interesting maneuvers again, but Demon once again forced to retreat into the trees. Aki gonna take a bit of Windrunner harassment, gonna take one tower pot shot as well, but Envy is rotating around. Will Demon pick up the kill? Does have power shot in his arsenal, gonna pick off the retreating Aki. Envy was not revealed because he is invisible, but Darkseer is going to cut off the creep wave, so Demon might be in a lot of trouble. Demon completely out of Envy, completely out of mana, as here comes a double Ion Shell combination. Windrunner is going to die right here, right now. Melk is going to rotate in. Can they pick off Envy? Envy's so tank because Sven, super tanky support, the Ion Shell immediately negating one of those spiked Carapace charges. And Envy is going to bottle up with S4's bottle. Will S4 pick up another bottle? That is the real question. Probably just going to use it to rune. Really interesting plays by No Tidehunter. I'm loving this dual roam with S4 pulling Envy his bottle, essentially. As maybe that was actually Envy's bottle. But Envy's going to pick up a haste rune. No, I guess that was S4's bottle, because S4 farming relatively well, 13 CS. And here comes EternalEnvy with the haste rune going to town on Jail. Will raise, and a couple more right clicks will secure the deal. Envy trying to ensure that S4 will pick up the last hit, and he does so successfully. And meanwhile, EG trying to counter with some pushes, as Beat is going to eliminate the creeps, allowing Fear to get some last hits, and a lot of pressure is being applied. Loda not having too good of a time, but he's going to try to stack, going to try to get whatever farm he can possibly get. He knows that this strategy is mostly to secure the other two lanes, knowing at the top lane was pretty much lost against Keep of the Light. But really fantastic play by No Tidehunter and EternalEnvy and Aki. As you can see, Aki definitely suffering, but he is going to have boots up. Or, I thought that was his boots. Maybe I am mistaken. Loda going to do some stacks. It does have boots in his stash. Loda still managed to pick up 14 CS somehow. Probably from Neutros, as he did get 1 point to Lunar or 1 point to Moonglaze just to help accelerate his farm because he knows he's just going to be farming when the mid game comes. He's not going to really be taking 2 fights as Demon does end up picking off the Darkseer on that bottom lane. Admiral Bulldog found himself in a sticky situation, level 6 at the very least, so he is doing quite well in that regard, but still ended up dying right there. Meanwhile, S4 does have the bottle. Does Envy still have his bottle? No, he gave it back to S4, so that was actually S4's bottle. Really, really interesting, as I think S4 is just going to help Loda to clear down these creeps. Is it going to actually take some of the last hits? Just killed the small cramp. Will he actually kill this big centaur? Is it going to leave it for Loda? He is going to leave it for Loda. So really, I guess EternalEnvy is really what No Tidehunter really needed to get themselves back on track. But EternalEnvy is going to initiate onto B-Diz. Where was B-Diz doing? Can he escape? Fear is going to come back in. Warcry being casted by EternalEnvy. Sven does pick up the last sound, keep it light. Loda is trying to juke as best as he can. That high base moon speed of Luna, unfortunately not enough to escape from Fear and his phase boots, as Fear does end up killing Loda. But I mean, not really the biggest deal, because Loda wasn't really having too good of a time in terms of farm anyway. And he's only level 4, so he's going to spawn relatively soon, so that's not really the worst thing to have happen. As Envy is sticking around, I think B-Diz really wants to drop a very aggressive ward to try to catch the jungling, because they know that Loda will be in the jungle for a lot of the game, considering he was shut down so hard in the early game. But Jail was shut down equally as bad, did die 2 times, does have a no talisman, but he's going to be a long way away from his 4 staff, and now he can't really contest Xiaofeng at all. Xiaofeng going to be level 7 before Jail hits level 6. Really, really unfortunate for Jail. Was not expecting a freaking Sven and a gyrocopter dual roam. As nice awareness by S4, going to use the Delusion Rune to scout, knowing that there are no dire wards in the vicinity. Meanwhile, Rain popping wards all over the map. You can see how much Rain are warding as Milk is going to rotate in. Can they get the Impale off? They are. And Fear is going to come in with the open wounds. He is going to rage up as well. No Tidehunter. S4 does end up getting out for 1 race, but Fear just rages right through that. And EG doing the correct response as, oh no, Bulldog going to come in, but nice juke. Nice path being taken by Fear. Here comes a missile by Aki, but that missile only level 1. Stormbolt being casted as well, but the missile will not be enough to kill it. Fear will escape successfully. Actually, the missile going to be farmed for jail for a bit of extra gold. Missile is so worthless. So nice counter ganks by EG, taking advantage of their map control with the help of the wards and with the help of that tower. So they're trying to regain some of their early bit of lane frustration. And Jail does have his treads up, so he's going to be a little bit more tanky, a little bit more difficult to gank. So EG responding back in kind. This is a really, really interesting game so far. It's only 9 kills, but a lot of maneuvering all over the map. S4 going to stack these creeps. I think he's going to probably take them for himself, considering he did end up dying and he needs to get his souls back up. Meanwhile, gank on the bottom lane. Bulldog and Envy do clean up Demon. Unfortunately, Rain ward all over here, but they did not ward here, so Demon unprotected and did end up paying the price for his team in that engagement. As Aki going to do some dewarding, knowing that B-Diz placed wards probably all around his jungle, going to just sentry ward it up to support Gyrocopter new meta. Meanwhile, Bulldog's going to cut off the bottom creep wave, applying a bit of pressure. Maybe he'll force the TP in, and allow Loda to farm up a little bit more uncontested. No, it looks like Ichi not really worried about Bulldog pushing down this tower by himself. They're just going to have Demon rotate back around, and here come the Dire. Or the Dire finally do have wards, so they see Fear and B-Diz approaching. Will they get a counter gank? Will this be a bait? Loda, I think he is baiting. He is only level 5, does have 3 points in the beam for that extra bit of nuke damage. But no, EG is going to back off. I think they did see the Rain or the Dire moving with that Observe ward. You can see ward is just playing a huge factor in this game already. As Demon is going to be enough to force that teleport away from Bulldog. Well, not by himself, but is going to hold on to the tower. Meanwhile, Bulldog trying to join the party on the top lane. Going to try to swing around to get this 3-man gank going. EG, do they sense something's up? They do have a sentry ward there. They do have a sentry ward there, and they saw the movements of the heroes. They have to get the heck out of there right now. EG, run! Maybe they didn't see it as, oh no, Melk might just end up paying the price for his team. Fear, don't go back in, bro. As, I mean, they had both the sentry and observer ward there, but the sentry ward did time out. Not too sure why EG stuck around, as that would have been a huge waste of time by NTH. And a bit of extra money lost because that smoke deceived by EG did end up losing 1 hero right there. And was it NA? But NA is level 6, so just going to be warning it up. As you can see, last hits and denies pretty bad for a pro game these days. I mean, Typically a free farming carry these days will have around 70 last hits, but you can see a lot of action going all over the map, and Envy is going to have a lot of his mana drain, doesn't even have enough mana to cast his freaking Stormbolt, and he's going to be out of luck for about 30 seconds or so. Really annoying to go against OD as a low mana hero, but there's going to be a wraparound for Loda. Here comes Milk with the Vendetta. Actually, they are going to back off. I think Vendetta was cooling down, and they saw the rotation by No Tidehunter, going to force out a TP. Bulldog trying to get into position. Loda is going to be okay. And EG is going to back off again. No Tidehunter have supports that all scale remarkably well to the late game. Meanwhile, EG, not so much. So if it does go late game, No Tidehunter pretty much has it in the bag. But still, OD and Nyx in the mid game, definitely not carries you want to go up against, even if you do have 5 semi-carries. Especially when 2 of those 5 semi-carries don't really have any farm in the form of Aki and EternalEnvy. Meanwhile, Demon picking up a Soul Ring, trying to fuel his mana without getting a bottle, because he knows the rune control completely in favor of No Tidehunter at the moment. But is going to have another way to fuel his mana with that Soul Ring. Is level 9, probably going to go for the Mechanism next. I imagine does have 1,700 gold in the bank, 1,600 gold in the bank, as he is banking up quite a bit of gold. Meanwhile, Envy, just the boots, just with the wards. 13 mana, 2 stacks of that Outworld Destroyer imprisonment on him. Can't cast anything for a decent amount of time. How long does that last? I thought it lasted 30 seconds, but I guess it increased the duration. 60 seconds steel duration. Pretty ridiculous. But No Tidehunter going to go into the Roche pit. And the Rain do not have any wards. Rain probably not expecting this early on of a rush attempt, and this is going to mean a free Aegis essentially for No Tidehunter, as Envy just going to tank it up for his team. Going to have to back off, and Rocket Barrage is going to be popped on the Roshan. Unfortunately, no, they do have a point to Presence of the Dark Lord to give it a little bit of extra minus armor, even if they don't have Medallion. And keep in mind that -2 armor does, or -3 armor, as they did buff it recently, does help to make a difference, as Xiaofeng is going to pick up the Aegis. And EG pretty confused at the moment, because they placed a lot of wards early on, but now they don't really have nearly as much vision, and they aren't able to make too much progress. Looks like they're just trying to farm up, but Fear only 61 CS, still higher than most of the people on the Dire. EG is technically outfarming No Tidehunter by a pretty huge margin, as only Darkseer is really keeping up. Xiaofeng has been shut down in terms of farm. So EG gonna have a pretty solid mid game, but they do have to watch out for the Aegis, and from the ganks that might come in from No Tidehunter very soon, as Sven gonna finally have his mana back. And he does have a Mechanism aura popped onto him. Bulldog does have the Mecha up, so that's gonna be very nice for No Tidehunter if there are any upcoming team fights very soon. Meanwhile, Loda contentedly, last 10 creeps to his heart's content, did pick up those drums to give him some move speed, give him some strength, give him some stats, because he was shut down pretty early on, wants a bit of extra HP to maneuver around with. And again, EG really not sure what to do without any wards, don't really know who's in the vicinity, so that's why they're playing so defensively. Meanwhile, Demon just farming it up. I wonder if he has his Mechanism up. No, he has his Force Staff up, so that indicates that EG probably going to be a bit more aggressive. I think they're going to use that Force Staff, try to initiate something, because I think they know in the late game they don't really have this. OD is actually going to pick up that Mechanism instead, but it's going to be a pretty delayed Mechanism, considering OD was ganked quite hard. But does have 58 CS to the Xiaofeng's 47. Xiaofeng going to have a lot of his mana drained in the form of that Astral Imprisonment. Taking a look at the early game goal graph, slightly in favor of the Rain because they are out farming and they did have a tower. But the Dire are definitely not in too bad of a shape. Experience graph slightly in favor of the Rain as well, because again, the Rain are out farming them. Beta is going to back the heck away, sensing something's up. As Demon does, he knows something's up. Is going to cast a power shot. Might get a missile right to his face for his troubles. Was he revealed? He's going to teleport out right now. And I don't think the Dire ever revealed themselves. No, they didn't, as that was just to catch the incoming Demon. But again, nice awareness by EG, probably sensing that smoke gank, and we're able to back off, even without wards, so you can see. Map awareness, the key to victory. Or at least the key to not dying. But it looks like the Dire want to apply a bit of pressure to the bottom lane while Fear is farming up. And the real question is, when will EG strike? Because it is only 14 minutes in, but I don't really think EG want to match up in the late game against this really powerful late game lineup on NTH. And Fear is actually going to go on to Loda, but Loda too fast with those drums and Tranquil Boots. Actually, Fear is going to get stun place. It does have that infest to creep if he potentially has to. Esper going to cut off his escape path and is going to pick off Fear because he went for a solo gank, and Lifester on a solo gank against a really speedy hero like Luna, not going to have a good time. as S4 is invisible. Milk, I think he sent something up, but did cast that Mana Burn on the EternalEnvy. Here comes the Requiem of Souls. EternalEnvy charging back in, but no mana for Stormbolt as S4 was Astral Imprisoned. Here comes the Sanity's Eclipse. Aki's gonna die. Will S4 end up dying as well? Mechanism is gonna be popped by Bulldog, gonna suck Jo back down there. Nice force staff by Demon to save the life of Jo. Demon's going back on the tear. Does successfully kill the Aegis. 2 for 1 technically, as the Illuminate gonna fly back in from Beat catching out the supports on the side of No Tidehunter. And actually S4 might be in a lot of trouble. Is there force staff? Raze is gonna be casted, but nice dodge by Fear on that Stormbolt, and they are going to kill S4 successfully. Again, NTH do have a strong late game lineup, but when they are not farming, and when it's only 15 minutes in the game, and when they don't have enough experience, they are going to lose in these team fight engagements. And that means EG going to claim another tower, so No Tidehunter really had a solid laning plan going, but it seems to be falling apart once EG takes some towers and try to get some map control. Even with the Aegis on No Tidehunter, they are going to lose this tier 1 tower unless No Tidehunter do reinforce it. Can they reinforce it? I don't think they can. There is going to be a teleport in by Luna. Loda does not have Eclipse up. Is actually pretty low on mana, and Fear is just going to go right back to town onto Loda. Loda's going to get healed up, back up by the Mechanism. That Mechanism plays such a big role in these fights as Demon with the snipe. Nicely done by Demon. Gets that power shot kill. So another kill going into the pockets of EG. Killing off Loda, and EG trying to close the gap in terms of kills and also trying to get that tier 1 tower. Jo does have the Mechanism, is going to use it for some bonus healing on his teammates. Milk going to wrap back around. Vendetta is going to be off duration in a little bit, and they are going to see Milk. Milk, no, say it ain't so. Milk is going to die. Taking one for the team, but unfortunately the creeps were not yet with EG, so it's going to be a 4v4 engagement, but Luna is going to spawn. Not yet Eclipse, but no, I think EG does want to back off, and they're going to do so successfully. Overall, they did secure themselves 3 kills to 2. And they did get the Aegis off on Shadow Fiend. But still, EG unable to crack the pressure of No Tidehunter just yet. And even though they do have a really strong mid game, as the game approaches that late game, I mean, I might be exaggerating a bit, it is only 17 minutes in the game. But as the game drags on and on, Gyro, Sven, gonna become even more and more powerful. Meanwhile, I wonder what Demon's gonna go for next. Doesn't have to get the Mechanism. Will he go straight up Hex? I think Orchid would be a pretty solid choice in this situation. Give him some damage, give him some intelligence. But Hex overall, pretty much better than Orchid, but I think he can build Orchid much more quickly. And that's why I think it would probably be a better item choice, but I mean, if he does go for Hex, I wouldn't really blame him. Hex is such a good item. And at any point in the game, S4, you can see the Dire just having their farm so... Pretty much, their farm has been pretty much halted, other than the jungle farm and the occasional middle creeps. 3 people on the lane ahead of them, but EternalEnvy does bottle a haste rune. As he managed to pick up his own bottle, S4 is going to be denied that haste rune a bit. He knows that EternalEnvy is going to use his haste rune and gank, while S4 just going to use probably the haste rune to farm up or to escape. So No Tidehunter trying to be a bit more aggressive, but really difficult to do against wards all over the map. And Lifestealer does pick up the Maelstrom. I thought he was going to go for Armlet, but does get that Maelstrom. I think I would have preferred the Armlet for that bit of extra HP, but I think he just knows that so much No Tidehunter's damage is physical, or is magical, and if he just pops the Rage, he should be okay. Impale going to fly in. Bulldog does escape successfully by walking away. Always the best form of escaping. Just going to walk away. Non-violence is the answer. Meanwhile, Jo continued to farm in the mid lane. I imagine he's just going to go for BKB next. Don't really see too many other options, unless he goes for Force Staff as well. But Force Staff not really as good, unless he goes for Atos. Atos pretty good, gives him intelligence and strength on OD. Pretty much OD and Sounds are the only 2 heroes that Atos is really suited for. But there have been very strong advocates of Atos recently by AUI, who gets on every hero, including Slaughter, where it doesn't actually do anything. But it's still pretty funny. As the stream, definitely very, very funny. As Goal Graph slightly in favor of EG, they have a huge farm advantage, and the experience graph reflects that as well. Checking out net worth, Lifestealer on top, Demon shortly behind. And looks like the Dire do want to get something going. Roshan is not up, but they are going to kill Milk once again. They're using so many resources to gank Milk. And I think Milk is okay with this, because that smoke gank was used on him. Even though he is 1 in 3. His team is just going to happily farm up for a bit and should be fine. So even though Milk is feeding a little bit, it's really not the worst. I mean, NA is not really the worst hero to have feed. He's going to get kills, he's going to get some presence in teamfight just on the back of mana burn scaling so hard and spiked carapace being so annoying to deal with. So it's really not the worst thing to have happen, but of course, you never want to die in any situation in the game. And I wonder if Fear will go back into Armut to give him some bonus HP now that Xiaofian's probably starting to hit for a bit more. And Xiaofian's going to have the BKB up relatively soon. And what goes to their BKB on the side of EG? Nothing. As there are actually 0 ultimates in this game that go through the side of BKB. So BKB probably going to be the item that both of these carries are going to go for. Of course, Lifestealer has an innate advantage in these early game engagements just on the fact that he has that built-in BKB. But still, BKB on S4 could be what can give NTH a slight advantage in these mid-game teamfights where EG had a slight edge. And EG gonna continue to farm up, really finding it difficult to push against Xiaofian, as Beta is gonna farm up as well. Beta is probably gonna go for something like a 4 staff. Not too sure. Again, Milk posturing. Looks like Milk gonna go for a very, very late game Necrobook. Bell of Giant Strength not gonna be turning anything for a long time because Milk not getting any farm. Unfortunately, his ganking attempts have been thwarted a little bit. You know, Aki gonna have an item being shipped towards him very, very soon. Is gonna have that magic stick shipped towards him. Aki playing the dutiful support. As always, Loda gonna have the BQ relatively soon as well. And about 1,000 gold. You know, Imprisonment gonna go down the middle lane, and I think EG might be just waiting around a little bit too long, because again, Maelstrom is really, really good on Lifesteal. It gives him more farming mechanisms, but BKB does help counter that a little bit, gonna negate a lot of that bonus extra damage from the magical chain lightning. So EG, I think, are playing a little bit too passively, but maybe they're just not finding too many openings. No Tidehunter doing a really nice job constantly dewarding, constantly having wards up, and really not giving EG too many avenues to initiate. And Roshan is respawned. Will No Tidehunter rotate in to try to pick it off? It looks like they want to do so. And EG Ward not going to spot out the movement just yet, but they do have the Roshan timer down. They probably sense that something's going on. Will they try to claim the tower at the very least? As this Roshan going to fall relatively fast, they are going to try to kill off Bulldog. Bulldog's taking a bunch of damage. Bulldog is going to die using the Sanity's Clips, and I don't know if they can even kill this tower as Beta is going to rotate back around, casting a Blinding Light and the Illuminate. Gonna give that increased miss chance for a bit, and so many heroes on the edge is so very low, but they're fighting like the Eclipse. As here comes S4 with this BKB Requiem, gonna kill off NA in the blink of an eye, as Fear gonna try to face up against S4, but again can't really deal too much damage, as it's gonna be once again 2 for 1. But no, Beatles is gonna die once again. Can he escape? No, the raise comes in from S4, and Demon's gonna get missiled right in the face. He does not enjoy that. 4 staff is on cooldown, and he is gonna die as well. So unfortunate engage for EG. At least they got a tower, but still, EG not really in the best shape. At the very least, both of their carries did survive, or both of their primary farmers did survive, but still. As the Dire Ward gonna spot Fear, but Fear probably just gonna dodge that rocket when it comes in. But that is gonna mean another tower for No Tidehunter, getting their second tower of the game. And keep in mind, No Tidehunter only going to get stronger and stronger. I mean, even with Aki getting so many support items, Flat Cannon will still hurt once Gyrocopter does level up. God Strength still does hurt. All of these spells on side No Tidehunter really do hurt with the right-click damage they have going for them. And Bulldog going to go for that pipe, so a lot of that Sanity's Eclipse damage going to be negated, so EG feel like they're a bit on a ticking clock. And how will they approach this situation? Are they going to wait for Demon's Hex? He is getting pretty close, only about 750 gold away from picking that up. And that might be what they're waiting for, as Milk going to try to get a gank onto Bulldog. Bulldog's so tanky, can't kill him without help, and Bulldog is going to escape very successfully. But S4, now that BK is finished, he can start picking up some real damage. Probably going to go for Manta, give him some survivability, give him some move speed, and yes, I guess the ultimate orb is for S4 and Luna. Gonna have that BK finished. And Aki gonna go for BKB as well. BKB, again, the item of the day today. Even with the pipe, they're getting mass BKBs, because really, EG can't really do anything to stop that. OD is only good as long as there's no BKBs inside the other team. And Leicester went for a magical damage, so man, No Tidehunter really playing this out very, very smartly at the moment. And I'm a pretty big EG fan, but still, I feel like they're being outplayed at the moment. But still, they are very much in this. They just can't wait around too much longer. Leicester did finish that Mjolnir. It's going to give him a lot of attack damage, but it's still very squishy. Leicester without that arm went very, very squishy indeed. Only about 1400 HP, and considering he's melee, he's going to have to take so much damage before he gets to hit a hero. As Smoke to see is popped by No Tidehunter. Will they rotate back around? They're going to try to do their best. Mel going to teleport back to the top lane, knowing that there is going to be push going on. They're probably going to try to set up a gank themselves, but here comes the smoking around by NTH. Going to pop an Observer Ward, trying to scout the vision, but they do see all of EG's there. Are they going to actually initiate? Envy going to charge in balls deep. Here comes the Luna ultimate, as looks like Leicester does end up picking the battle. Eclipse doing so much work, as well as the Lava Replica, and that's going to mean 4 heroes on the side of EG immediately die. Who bought back? Meanwhile, a complete team wipe on the side of EG, and only S4 ended up dying. Man, EG, it's not like these team fights are going to get any prettier. As really, they do not have what it takes to stand up against the side of No Tidehunter as this game drags on and on. What a nice engagement, popping that Observer Ward just to see if all of EG was there, and they're just like, screw it, go in, guns blazing, pop BKB. What can OD actually do against BKB? He can't actually do anything. Meanwhile, Leicester, very strong Kuro, but can't man up against the whole team, especially when it only has around 1500 HP. And this tier 3 under heavy assault, it will end up dying. I don't think No Tidehunter will try to go for the Rex, but again, another tier 2 tower goes into the pockets of No Tidehunter. Will No Tidehunter try to take down the Rex? Illuminate going to fly back in. The glyph is down. No Tidehunter are going to stick around for the Rex. Envy going to have a bit of his mana drained. Pale slowing down the assault. Milk did not pop spiked Carapace. He's going to die. Illuminate going to fly back in. And EG going to lose their first Rex, but Jail going to initiate. Stormhammer going to go down. Here comes S4 going back in. Going to time that Requiem, trying to pick off Fear before his Rage dies down. Rage will actually die down very, very soon. S4 going to be thwarted in killing off Fear, because Fear does infest. Nice move by Fear, but again, No Tidehunter are forced to back off right now. All of their supports are pretty low in terms of HP. Mechanism is on cooldown, and they are out of mana, so they are going to back off, but they got 3 towers and a melee barracks, and popped a nice Sentry Ward in the side of EG. Man, EG, it's just not looking good. And again, this is why I don't really think OD in the first phase is really a good pick. He just gets so easily countered by so many mechanisms. Not mechanism, the item. Just, I'm gonna stop, as I honestly don't really know what I'm gonna say other than mechanism. So many things that are already in the game. And nice Force Staff into Hex on S4. S4 is going to get shackled in place. S4 is going to die. He did use a buyback, and little pickoffs like this is what EG needs to do to get themselves back in the game. As you can see, the gold graph heavily taking a big downward shift after that team fight and the racks being taken, as well as those 3 towers. So even though No Tidehunter getting out farmed a bit, they do have a solid gold and experience advantage. But still, as BKBs are used more and more, and as OD tanks up, he can probably just survive a lot of the BKB duration, and then try to go back in town. But again, it's going to be a while before he reaches that point. BKB charges still have quite a bit of time. Loda still has 8 seconds, S4 probably not too much anymore. No, still has 8 seconds, and Aki going to have his own BKB up relatively soon. So in the ultra late game, OD can theoretically outcarry everybody just because he can probably survive the duration of the BKBs. But that's the ultra late game, and No Tidehunter already have a barracks. But EG don't really have a choice. They have to go for pickoffs and they have to go for ganks. But unfortunately, No Tidehunter do know what EG is planning. They have faced EG in the DreamHack Finals, and they did have EG's number right there. And will they make it another matchup in a row? And I think they're going to play in the defense group stages later on. So EG and No Tidehunter determined to be rivals forever, just like Melk and Loda always will be rivals. But JL going to go for the Hex Demon. Going to pop another smoke as they're going to try to get another gank going, but unfortunately No Tidehunter are going to stick complete together. I don't think EG, if they try to take a fight, will try to initiate. And they do see the Radiant Ward spotting out all of the heroes on the side of No Tidehunter, and that means they do not want to initiate, and No Tidehunter going to push in, try to secure map control for the Roshan. Keep in mind, this third Roshan will have Aegis and Cheese, giving No Tidehunter a lot of survivability in these team fights. But still, not really too much EG can do at this point. They just have to keep farming. And they are winning in terms of farm, but now you can see Shalfin starting to surpass OD because of his flash farm, able to clear out neutrals very, very quickly. And Fear does pick up that Basher, which does go through BKB, but still he does have to get up close and personal to really make that bash count. And S4 actually going to get hexed in place. Here comes an immediate teleport by Darkseer, and that means EG time to back the heck off. But they did force the teleport, and that is going to mean that this tier 2 tower will end up surviving for a bit. Meanwhile, Keeper the Light gonna do what Keeper the Light does best, prevent any sorts of pushing shenanigans. But still, the problem with that is what can Keeper the Light get that will really help his team? I guess maybe like a pipe or something. But here comes the rotation. No Radiant wards up, but it looks like EG does know something's up, as they did have a ward here, so they did see the No Tidehunter crew go in towards their jungle. Beat is gonna channel out the Illuminate just outside of range for No Tidehunter to initiate. No Tidehunter don't really have any suitable forms of initiation. And Sven, does he have his own BKB? Everybody on the side of No Tidehunter have their BKB, aside from Darkseer, who has a pipe and a mechanism. You are not killing him anytime soon. And how can EG ever fight this thing? The problem with Lifesteal again is that he's a single target damage dealer. But everybody on No Tidehunter have BKBs, and a lot of their carries are ranged, so it's going to be pretty difficult for him to get in range. Unfortunately, he did not go for Armlet, so Armlet would have given him a lot of extra HP, so he could tank a bit of that. Instead, went for a bit more of a farming build. So it looks like EG just going to try to take this out to Ultra Laking, but again, if there aren't any team fights, then NTH can just hold on to their BKB charges to their heart's content. So, OD, first phase pickup. Still unsure why EG decided to go for it. As you can see, gold graph and experience graph still maintaining, or still remaining relatively the same. And actually, because EG is out CSing No Tidehunter, they are catching up in terms of experience graph. And Melk will end up dying. He is going to initiate onto S4, 4 staff into Hex, into death for S4. S4 does die. And will No Tidehunter back off? Will this be a bait? Fear is going to use his Rage off. Rage is on cooldown, but Rage is such a short cooldown. And will they get Aki as well? Nice Shackle Shot. Unfortunately, not able to catch that tree by Demon, as sometimes that Shackle Shot can reach all the way across the map to like frickin' this tree. But still, S4 is gonna be dead for a bit. Doesn't have buyback, and that is gonna prevent No Tidehunter from Roshaning. Nice engagement by EG, really trying to stay in this game as much as possible. And Jail is gonna have his Hex up relatively soon. And keep in mind, you can't pop BKB while you're being hexed, while you're being shackled, because Hex pretty much instant cast time. So EG going to try to have to go for these initiation pickoffs like they've been doing. 4 staff into Hex has been so useful for these last 2 engagements, and might help to clean up this tier 2 tower. S4 is still dead, and they are going to give this tower pretty much for free. Fear does get the last hit, and I think EG should just take this tower and back the heck off. As you can see, EG have so many wards on the map, trying to spout the movement of No Tidehunter. S4 is going to teleport safely to join his team, but going to have to take a bit of time to regain his souls, as EG going to stick around, but Fear is not with them. They do have Keeper the Light to recall him, because Keeper the Light does do that very, very well. Power Shot is going to scout out No Tidehunter, but I really don't think EG can take this. So many BKB on the side of No Tidehunter, that's going to make it really difficult. Shackle Shot is going to latch on to Envy. Can they get any stuns? Melk's Impale does miss. They didn't have any vision there, but it looks like Envy does end up dying to that Illuminate. Nicely done by Beatis, but here comes the offensive, as Fear does manage to kill off Aki, and Loda, it doesn't have any BKB charges or mana, and Fear is actually going to town on S4. Will EG actually turn this around despite all expectations? Nice vacuum by Admiral Bulldog, but Open Wound's going to be back off of cooldown relatively soon. Can Loda escape? Loda trying to run away, but you cannot run, you cannot hide. Lifesteal is on your ass, and EG turning this completely around, completely unexpected. Wow, was not expecting this whatsoever. And Roshan, half HP. Will EG go back for it? Loda is going to buy back, trying to regain some of the control back for Roshan. Fear is going to approach very, very close to S4. S4, can he actually escape? Can he get force staff delay? Rage is going to be popped. S4, can he get chain stun? Is going to get bashed to death. Surge is going to go on to S4. They're just going to try to kite Fear, and Fear is going to be successfully kited, but at least Fear is not going to die just yet. EG making a remarkable comeback when I thought all hope was lost for them. And BKBs, who needs BKBs, says EG. We're just going to kite you until your BKBs just time out. So this is why Force Staff is still a really, really good item. As EG has 3 of them, and they're making the most of it. But EG does have to back off to defend that range barracks, but again, only have to send Fear because BDiz can just recall him in. 12-second cooldown on recall, or 15-second cooldown on recall. So useful. Just has to wait for that Spirit Form duration to go back in. Maybe that's what No Tidehunter are waiting for. They're trying to wait out that Spirit Form because Fear is not going to be in this engagement, and they might just do so successfully. No, BDiz is going to get the recall off, but the recall, I think it got ended. No, Fear is back in the battle successfully, and another Shackle Shot by Demon, holding Loda in place again. No solid forms of initiation for No Tidehunter. No Force Staff, no Dagger. I would have thought Envy would have picked up Dagger rather than BKB, but still, BKB is such a good item against all of EG, aside from Fear, who is definitely making his Loda HP pool count just by getting in good position, going for all-out mobility, phase boots, drums again, able to catch up to even speedy heroes like Luna very, very easily. So EG making this a lot more competitive than I otherwise thought it would be. Demon going to Force Staff himself out, but that is going to delay some of the initiation until that Force Staff does go back off of cooldown. But No Tidehunter playing this very patiently. Know that the top lane is pushing in all the while. Eventually they're going to get that barracks as Fear does pick up the Abyss Blade, and looks like EG trying to go on the offensive. Do smoke up, but the Dire Sentry Ward does scout out EG. Can EG actually take this team fight? BKBs are popped all over. The team. Fear is just trying to man up, try to take down the whole team, but if they kill Fear, Fear is going to just lose so much of their team fight potential. Wall is popped successfully. Milk going to cast the Impale. Sandy's Eclipse going to be casted, but again, not too much damage being pumped out by Jail. Fear is going to end up dying to the Shadow Fiend. Demon does kill off Loda, but still, you saw how powerless EJ was to deal with those BKBs, and that Sentry Ward definitely helped save the lives of No Tidehunter. And that's going to mean the Aegis and the Cheese for No Tidehunter in this engagement. And can Demon escape? Demon should be able to escape relatively easily. Just going to teleport out from that missile. Shadow Fiend does pick up the Aegis. I imagine Loda picked up the cheese. No, Loda died. So I guess Bulldog has the cheese. But again, that Sentry Ward just completely sniffed out the gank by EG. And they just all popped the BKB charges and focused down Fear. Fear unable to deal nearly as much damage as he otherwise could have. Even with the Abyssal Blade holding people in place. And EG pretty much powerless in that team fight. As you saw, Sandy's Eclipse did next to no damage, even with that Hex up. But still, that means another BKB charge has been used. It's down to 6 seconds on the Shadow Fiend. It's down to 8 seconds on the Gyrocopter. It's down to 9 seconds on the Sven. It's down to 6 seconds on the Luna. So if EG keep turtling this out, OD could potentially get the out carry going. But still, I don't think No Tidehunter will allow that to happen. They have to push in, because they are starting to get on the clock themselves. I still think EG pretty big disadvantage just because BKB, and considering JO's not at that point where it's just become too much of a problem to deal with without BKB. But EG trying to play it very, very safe at the moment. Fortunately, Keeper of the Light taking a lot of JO's farm in order to ensure that the creep waves are constantly pushed. I wonder what Jay will go for next. I think Aghanims or Atos probably the best option. And it's always a sad day when Atos is the best option. But Jay just really needs to survive, maybe in Ghost Scepter. Because a lot of No Tidehunter's damage is coming in from those right clicks now. Whether it be Shadow Fiend, whether it be EternalEnvy, whether it be Loda. As Loda does get the cheese transferred over to him by Bulldog. Checking out the net worth, you can see Fear still ahead of the competition. Does have the Abyssal Blade as well as the Mjolnir. So is going to get a lot of bashes and going to be able to penetrate through those BKBs for a bit. But still, EG in a very difficult situation, especially with Aegis to cheese up. And keep in mind, Loda is going to get stronger and stronger as well. Everybody in No Tidehunter will get stronger and stronger as this game goes on. Loda still has to make a bunch of item progression. S4 still has potentially 4 slots left. Even 5 slots if he goes ultra late game and does end up having to buy a new BKB altogether. Bulldog is pretty much maxed out. Gonna have the Hex up relatively soon. And Jail. I think Jail will have to go for BKB. As Sphere is gonna Rage Teleport out of there. Yep. Gonna escape to safety. Sensing that there was gonna be a gank coming in from the top lane. So it looks like No Tidehunter gonna push out the top lane a bit and then probably rotate to the middle lane. Because Aegis is gonna time out in about 3 minutes. So they're gonna have to make this Aegis count. Even though they are gonna get stronger and stronger as this game goes on, they don't really want to give a team like EG too many openings. But still, the game does drag on. Only 1 drum charge left. Beat is, again, not able to farm up too much CS. Or, sorry, Jail, unable to farm up too much CS. Beat is gonna go for a Hex himself, I imagine. Demon's had that Hex for a while, saving him for buyback. I wonder what he's gonna go for next. EG needs to just tank up or just get a lot of damage. But still, EG not looking in the best of situations right here, but they're gonna have to try. As they're still in this game. They're making the gold graph and experience graph look very different, but those graphs don't really mean nearly as much as in other games. Speaking of other games, I watched some competitive League of Legends, and it was different, to put it mildly, and to put it bluntly, it sucked. At least for a Dota viewer like me. But it's probably because I know literally 0 items, and I know literally about the buffs in League of Legends, but I thought it sucked. But still, that's just me. Match is going to be popped by S4. How will... And TH just going to send S4. He does have the Aegis, so just going to try to siege on that tower. But Illuminate is going to be chill. Mana going to be drained on EternalEnvy, but does have that bottle to help refuel some of his mana. They're going to pop the Haste Rune as well, because it was in that bottle. Not going to use it to initiate just yet. Demon unable to get the Shackle Shot. Shackle Shot, very short cooldown, so it's going to be up before this next push does come up. Meanwhile, Fear going to farm on the top lane. Keep the Light does this better than any other hero in the game. But Spirit Farm is on cooldown. It's going to be up relatively soon. He's going to have to pop it right now to get Fear back in the battle, because this tower is going to take a lot of damage. He's trying to delay that Spirit Farm activation as long as possible. Does Fear actually have a TP? Because Luna is going to initiate, just charging in, guns blazing, going to push back everybody on EG. But EG, do they still have the glyph? They do still have the glyph. Fear does get recalled. Going to go back on the offensive, but you can see the focus fire onto Fear because BKB is against Jail. What can Jail actually do? Say's Eclipse is still up. He's going to have to use it. Is unable to kill anybody. Fear does still survive, infesting his ally. As you can see, S4 did end up dying, as well as Aki, but unfortunately, EG just not enough firepower to bring down everybody on side of No Tidehunter. Even with them outlasting a lot of the BKB charges, Jail did end up dying. Blinding Light trying to hold off the assault. Will EG actually save their backs as EternalEnvy is going to die? S4 going to take a lot of damage as well. S4 is going to die as well to Demon's right click. But Loda does go back in, has that Eagle Song up. Lifesteer finally buys back. Or no, he just died, so he buys back right there and then. And Bulldog is going to get hexed in place, gonna get shackled as well. Manually going to be popped, and Bulldog is going to fall. So EG defending that very valiantly, but still. BKBs, man. As really smart playing by No Tidehunter. Turn on BKBs and just focus down Fear. Because they know Beatus can't, or Jail can't do anything while No Tidehunter are in the BKB form. And even when the BKB form goes down, as long as they sort of spread out, Jail can be kited relatively easily. Jail was forced to buy back. Gonna give up a lot of gold in that exchange. Fear bought back as well. Gonna slow down his item progression as well. So it's not looking good for EG. Lost 2 barracks, but they're still making it very competitive. Never give up, never surrender. As EG trying their hardest. Meanwhile, looks like Mel gonna go for the halberd. Really, really good decision. But Luna's starting to get pretty scary. Finishes the butterfly. Again, everybody on NTH scales so well. Even the wall and Darkseer scales so well the late game. Of course, it doesn't get the orb, it doesn't get the feast. But still, it just causes a lot of havoc in these engagements. And Lotus can still potentially make travels and 2 more item slots. You know, S4, again, can potentially make 3 more items. But they're going to initiate onto Aki. Aki, probably the least important member on the side of No Tidehunter. And they are going to use a Shackle Shot. Envy going to go in onto Melk. Here comes the Eclipse. S4 going to pop the Requiem, but nobody on EG was there. Actually, Fear is in the middle of everything, and he is going to die. No buyback, and this is going to be the beginning of the end for Evil Geniuses. Jail is going to try to retreat out of there, force staffing away to safety. Can he teleport out of there? The missile's coming. The missile's coming. And here comes Lucent being to slow down Jail in prison, still on cooldown. Jail is going to die, trying to waste as much time as possible. Aki able to survive. Man, sad day for OD, so he can't even one-shot support Gyro with that Sanity's Eclipse. As OD just takes way too much time in order to really carry the game late, I think. Especially against 5 semi-carries, who all have BKBs. Oh god. Demon trying to do whatever he can to slow down the assault. Gonna shackle Envy, but Envy doesn't really care because Loda gonna go back on the offensive with that butterfly. S4 only at about half HP. The mechanism is gonna be popped by Bulldog, and Swax is gonna get claimed. And Mega Creeps are gonna be obtained by No Tidehunter. EG can't defend this. Fear and Jail are both dead. And No Tidehunter with a 5 semi-carry strategy with a dual roaming support Sven and support Gyro. Managed to take down EG on strength of Black King Bar. You can see Envy, after coming back, looking for all the skims he can possibly get. He knows NTH weren't looking that good without him, so he wants to make his practice count all the while. So No Tidehunter gonna claim this first game in the series. Don't know if I'll bring you game 2 or game 3 if there is a game 3. But No Tidehunter doing a nice job taking out EG in game 1. BKB is the name of the game, and OD should not be picked in the first phase. Especially when the other team still has their 3rd pick. As, yeah, that was a really interesting maneuver by EG, but unfortunately it didn't pay off. Maybe it was a bit of experimentation. Maybe they really genuinely believe OD, really strong hero. But still, I don't think he's first pick worthy, or first phase worthy. So EG gonna end up falling to No Tidehunter in this game. No Tidehunter trying to get some of the momentum. EG trying to get back into Dota shape after not playing too many matches for a while. But both teams, again, the ultimate goal is Seattle in August. So thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.